What should be the intro to this? You don't think about these sorts of things when you're starting out on YouTube. You never think these sort of things would be, like, difficult. Whatever, I'll just use this as the intro. So, Dark Souls 1 Boss Tier List. We're gonna do this, then Demon Souls, then Bloodborne, then Sekiro, and then I don't know. Ranking Dark Souls 1 bosses, we're sort of getting into the troublesome territory of a vast majority of these boss fights are just like fun little cute gimmicks. So ranking them is difficult because there is not like a real a very common consensus sort of way of ranking these boss fights. So we're gonna have to basically, now my tier list, the way I designed it, is actually going to fit in terms of we're gonna look at what their gimmick is and how well do they actually execute it in the real game. Starting off with Asylum Demon. I don't think I need to be in any way controversial when I say that this is probably one of the best tutorial bosses ever designed. A core component of a boss fight is sort of the setup. If you just walk into a boss room and it's just some freak and he just hits you and kills you, and then you come back in and you kill him, who cares? No one cares. But if you set it up as in, you wake up, you're this weird beef jerky guy, and then you go, and then this big ass demon, which looks very unique. Another thing, it's a very unique looking demon. Still very like standard hoofs, chains, and horns, but it looks unique. And then you can't kill it, you do no damage, so you have to run away, and then you're taught how to play the game better, and you have that incentive, you have that like goal of, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna whoop this freak's ass. And then you do a jumping, you do a plunging attack, and you get a massive amount of damage on it, then you kill it. It's great. Of course, it's not difficult as a boss fight, but it doesn't matter. It's the tutorial boss. It doesn't matter that it doesn't have a roll catch attack, it doesn't have a chase down attack, it doesn't know what to do against the people that are far away casting, it has only one attack that like chases down. None of that matters because people, when they start playing this game, they don't even know how to attack properly. How many people are at Taurus or Demon or the Bell Gargoyles and they still don't know how to lock onto enemies when they start playing this game? So none of the difficulty doesn't actually matter. What does matter is what it teaches. What does this boss teach you? And it's amazing. It is also just a clear-cut evolution of Vanguard from Demon Souls, which was literally just like, Vanguard isn't really a real boss. He's more like a tone setter. Like, you go to do the tutorial and then you die at Vanguard. Maybe you kill him and then you die to Dragon God. Who cares? Doesn't matter. He's just there to set the tone and connect the the unfinished disconnected area, which was then repurposed into the tutorial, and connect that into the real game. That's what Vanguard is for. But the Asylum Demon is like a real... He specifically exists only for this reason. Everything about him or her, I don't know, just works perfectly. But you know how it is. Even with like TV shows and the like, the first episode is the most important episode. Making sure that you set up what you want to achieve with your whole series or your movie, like the first couple minutes, the opening act, incredibly important. Not the most important, however, in my opinion. The most important in everything. In like a intro and the first couple minutes, the first episode, the first whatever. The most important thing, above all else, is the follow-up. How do you top this beginning? And Taurus Demon, fucking S tier boss fight. I know, this might be controversial, but it's true. Basically, what you've learned from the first boss, you can apply here, but it's not so clear and cut. Like you don't know, like, it's not straight up just you just go forward and automatically you get the opportunity for a plunging attack on the boss fight. No, you have to go into the boss room, turn around, realize, oh, there's people up here, I gotta kill him, there's the ladder. Then you're on the ladder and you see that the wall heading down, or like pointed towards the actual place where you're supposed to fight the boss, is just it's broken. So you're like, interesting. And of course, Dark Souls 1, because it is an old game, it had to separate various areas with fog walls. So not every time you walk through a fog wall do you know there's going to be a boss at the other side. And Taurus is one of those, like, there's not a boss at the other side instantly. He jumps up later. So careful consideration, planning, proper timing of when the boss fight approaches and whatever, it's all here. It's all here, unlike a certain other boss. And then the actual fight itself, you do a plunging attack. It will not kill him, most likely. It probably will not. And then what? Then you have to actually engage with the boss. Okay, I have to lure him away from the ladder and then run under him. And his attacks are designed so that running under him is very difficult unless he does specific attacks, which he just geniusly designed boss fight. And it's also the arena. It's not just some big wide open circle. It's a bridge. It's like just the fact that it is not a big flat plane with nothing in it but the boss and you changes so much about the boss fight and makes it 10 times better. And From Software needs to go back to this. I'll take 10 Capra Demon arenas over wide open space, please. Anyway, Moonlight Butterfly. So the gimmick here is obviously like, well, it's flying, you can't hit it. So normally what a normal game developer would conjure up in their head is, okay, we're gonna need some things to make sure you can hit the damn boss. Either you summon Witch Beatrice from down below, or you're fucked. You use items maybe, or some such, but otherwise no. There is no like, oh, okay, well, there's a whole tower behind from which the boss like flew down to face you. Maybe there's something that's... No, you can't go there. It's just this tiny little bridge. Okay, maybe there's like something on the bridge I can use. No, it's just this bridge. Alright. So how am I supposed to hit it? Oh, you just wait until it, for no reason, just straight up flies down and lets you hit it a couple of times. I know it's feeding on some grass to heal itself. Like, what the what are you doing, Miyazaki? What is this? Yeah, just bad. It also steals the theme from Gwendolyn, or maybe it's the other way around, I don't even know. Bell Gargoyles. So this is where the real Dark Souls begins. Well, I'm sort of split. On one hand, I'm like, oh yeah, cool, it's the man-eaters, but with a lot less sauce. And when the other one jumps down, it has only half health for some reason. I really don't get why. It's just... Yeah, I get it, yeah, it's supposed to show, oh, don't worry, yeah, there's two of them, but don't worry, he doesn't have a lot of health. Like, what? Why? Just give him full health, but for the other gargoyle, full health means it only realistically has half health. Now it just looks janky. It's just this other gargoyle plops down and half his health is gone. Like, what? What? I don't know. In terms of the fight itself, the actual attacks of the gargoyles are not that great. They put a fucking halberd in their hands for some reason. This is where it started. This is where the monkey paws finger curled, and Dark Souls 2 was cursed with every single entity in that game being just forced to use some sort of weapon to swing at you instead of relying on their actual like body to hit you. Whatever. In terms of an actual boss fight, it's fine. It's fine. It's nothing crazy. It gets very chaotic. There is not really much of a rhyme or reason between the two. One of them is much more prone to spitting out fire, but then once the one that spits fire jumps down, suddenly the first one also starts spitting out fire for no reason. Like, what? I don't know, it feels like the fact that there is two of them was sort of just like, oh, look, man-eaters, remember that from Demon Souls? It's not really like... The boss fight doesn't really teach you much, especially not when it comes to like fighting multiple opponents in these games. But that's a problem with the fact that From Software probably doesn't play their own game a lot, so yeah, I'd say average, because the point was very much made, or like their gimmick, oh, there's two of them. It's not terrible where it, like, the boss literally breaks, nor is it like uninteresting. It's two gargoyles. Sure, if you really are reductive, they are basically just dudes in armor, some dumbass knight, but not entirely. You can cut off their tails to like hamper their... you can cut off one of the gargoyle's tail to hamper its attacks. It's alright, I guess. Whatever. You was never a real knight anyway. Stray Demon, oh my god, it's the greatest boss fight that you've already had. How about you fight him again? But in a much less interesting setting and with a much less interesting moveset. Yay, that's amazing, bro. Oh my god. You wanna know the worst thing? It's not the Asylum Demon that they used as like the basis for everything in Elden Ring, for all the Erdtree avatars. They used the Stray Demon. The dumbass Stray Demon that keeps fucking spamming its butt slam attack. My god. Stop. Just give him another move, or make him like scurry off, do a backstep or something to make sure you're not just glued to its ass, and then do interesting attacks. Why does it have to spam the exact same move over and over again? It's like so stupid. Just like flip a switch in its AI and be like, don't do this multiple times in a row, dumbass. But no. Yeah, just straight up bad. Capra Demon. There used to be a discussion, I don't know if it still is, but there used to be a discussion where someone pulled up out of the woodworks and was like, y'all, Capra Demon's actually a good boss. And everyone was like, no, yeah, cool, great, everyone has a right to the opinion, but no, Capra Demon fucking sucks. Let's not even do this, because as soon as we open this can of worms, we're gonna go all the way back and be like, actually, fucking who is it? Adjudicator? He's actually S tier boss fight. Better than fucking, I don't know, Melania, Blade of Mikola. Like, no, stop it, stop. Alright, a little bit of contrarianism. Oh, Knight Artorias, worst boss fight in this game. Sure, whatever. But this is a no-go zone. And, I see the point. Yeah, like, you can use stuff on it. The whole point is, like, you're at a disadvantage, so you need to use the various items throughout your journey that you have found to get any sort of advantage. And also just abuse the hell out of the layout of the arena, what little there is to your advantage, yada yada yada. My disagreement with this is very simple. Dark Souls 1 has established multiple times that not every time you walk through, not every time that you walk through a fog wall will you face off against a boss. And with the amount of arenas so far that you have been in fighting bosses, there is no like guarantee of you even like looking out and seeing like what's ahead for you to be like, oh yeah, this is gonna definitely be a boss arena. Like, let's say Anor Londo, yeah? Right when you get off the rafters and you're about to go to the weird elevator spinning stairs thing, you have no clue if behind that fog wall you're going to fight a boss on those elevator stairs things. You have no clue. This is Dark Souls 1, baby. We clown in this motherfucker. Take your ass back to Elden Ring. So, you don't know. So not every time you see a fog wall are you like hardwired to believe, oh yeah, this is gonna be a boss fight. Even if you play Demon Souls, you don't know. It doesn't always happen. And Demon Souls is even crazier arenas for fighting bosses than this. So you walk in, you don't know, you have no idea what to expect. You walk in and you have fucking 600 milliseconds to react to what is going on before some dog harasses you. Are you wearing armor? Cool. Are you wearing enough armor though? Are you wearing enough armor with enough poise to actually get through this boss fight? That's the real question here. Are you wearing enough armor to figure out what the fuck is even going on? Are you wearing enough armor, enough heavy armor in the area where having a lot of heavy armor is an active detriment against these fast-moving enemies which cause bleed, not direct damage, but bleed, which ignores your armor? If you're not, clearly that's your problem. You should have known what to do. No. There's not enough time for you to react, and it's a very simple, like, fix. Just, there's a whole gate and a walkway or whatever behind the Capra Demon. Why not just open up that gate and make it so that as soon as you enter into the boss room, the Capra Demon will, with his dogs, slowly approach you from that room, as opposed to just fucking standing there waiting for you, fucking spawn camping you. Like, if you want me to use your things, okay, let me at least see what the hell I'm supposed to be using on what, and if it even works. No, just bad. Poorly executed. The boss fight would have worked just fine if a simple fix of just, okay, give me more time. Give me more time to digest what the fuck is happening. Gaping Dragon. This boss should not have existed in this game. This boss should have been in Bloodborne, where you can break the limbs of bosses, and by hitting those broken limbs you get extra damage. And also it staggers the boss, allowing you to get a critical hit. This boss is literally designed for this. I have a crackpot theory that Bloodborne was designed off of this boss fight. Like, I don't know, like, before they even settle on how the tutorial is going to play for this game, like, freshly after they made the painted world of Ariamis, they were like, alright, let's make another boss. They make the Gaping Dragon. I'm like, oh shit, I fuck with this. We've made a whole game around this. So, yeah, but it's not in Bloodborne, it's in Dark Souls 1. So how good of a boss fight is it? Not very good at all. It's outright ignoring its janky ass grab hitbox. Let's just ignore that one for a while. Yeah, let's just pretend like that doesn't happen. I mean, for real now, how often do you actually get grabbed by that? But that's beside the point. Like, the other problem is the boss fight is dead before it even gets to grab you. What does this boss actually do? It slams its big ass mouth on the ground, waits a solid like 3 business days before following up with some crawl, where you can't touch it for some reason. Just everything about the boss is now a hitbox except maybe its tail. So cool, you're just standing there like some doofus waiting for the boss to hit a wall and do nothing then. You come in, then you come close to it, hit it fucking 3 times, do fuck all damage, maybe cut off its tail. Rinse and repeat. Amazing. Wow, what a boss fight. But then it has the audacity to have this one other attack where it pukes on the ground, breaking your equipment and wasting your time. How do you avoid this? Do you climb up onto some fucking platform, you dumb cunt? No. You run away and wait for it to go away. Wow. What a boss fight. What a boss fight. Oh, but there's a whole gimmick with the channel. No one cares. Either put the channel in the arena and you have to kill them every time in the arena, and then okay, no, this boss fight is like another Diet Coke version of Tower Knight. At least it's something interesting. No, you just kill it once off the beating path and then you have a very boring boss fight left for you to fight. Wowzers. Chaos Witch Quelaag. Alright. Boys and girls, stop. Stop the count. Stop the count. Let me tell you something. You've beaten the gargoyles. It's time for you to go to the second Bell of Awakening, which by the way, you didn't even know that there was going to be a second bell. You come into Lordran, the first dickhead that you meet is some depressed idiot that keeps making fun of you, and he's like, actually there's 2 of them, so lol. So alright, cool. We gotta go get the other bell. It's in Blighttown, apparently. Whatever. Apparently it's a bad place. Fine. Whatever. I've seen worse. Just by playing this game, I have seen worse. No prior knowledge. We have no idea what Blighttown is, alright? First time we're ever playing this game. That's the context for this little story. You're going, you have to fight this amazing peak of a boss fight over here. Then you have to fight this other peak of a boss fight after going through the depths. An absolute shithole. This is literally where the waste of everyone goes. Like your favorite Solaire, his shit is probably somewhere in there, in the depths. Yep, it's probably somewhere in there. If you look hard enough, you're gonna find it. And then you go to Blighttown. Jesus fucking Christ. My goodness. Let's just ignore any sort of technical difficulties that real people that actually experienced this sort of story back then when it came out on PS3 and Xbox 360 and the amazing PC port of Dark Souls 1 Prepare to Die Edition. Back then when people played it. Let's ignore all the technical difficulties. 2 FPS town and all that. Yeah. Let's ignore it. Some of you kids are not even old enough to understand this meme. Some of you all playing the Dark Souls remaster. What the fuck is wrong with this? It's just another level. It's fine. What are all these horror stories about? Bruh, you don't even know. You don't even want to know. You're going through Blighttown, toxic up the wazooski. You know, people like to make the memes about the other Souls swamps and whatever, that you're trudging through them and you have 15 different STDs as you walk through them. Fuck out of here. Fuck out of here. Farron Keep is just mildly annoying. A mild nuisance. Meanwhile, fucking Blighttown, before you even get to the swamp. The swamp down there, the swamp, that's the easy part. It's going across the rafters with those janky ass collision boxes that move. From Software had the balls to be like, yeah. Not only is our collision absolute dog water, we're gonna make some of these platforms just randomly for no reason move just to throw you off. When people talk about like, oh, Dark Souls 1 is fucked, and them From Software boys are fucked in the head. They make really hard games, really evil games, like fucking Cat Mario level shit bullshit, yo. That's how evil these motherfuckers are. Usually that's just straight up not true. Usually the games are just omitting information, and that's how they get you every single time. But Blighttown is different. Blighttown was genuinely like, they sat down and were like, y'all, we're gonna cook something up real nice right here, you know, they're gonna love this one. And we sure did. But anyway, after many souls lost, after many humanities lost, fucking hollow, guaranteed hollow while you're going through Blighttown, you finally get down. It's the swamp. It's chill, it's just annoying. It's constantly eating up my Estus with the poison and whatever. There's some weird ogres throwing rocks at me and whatever. You know, just whatever, you know. Still not as bad as the blow dart toxic dickheads. And then you fight the boss. Like, just the setup to this, alright? What the fuck are you supposed to expect? What are you even going to expect? You see this big mound. It's like an anthill or whatever. I don't know. This looks like the nest of something that I can't even describe. You go in, Quailag's domain. Oh, what the fuck is Quailag? Keep going, and then you meet it. You first see it. It's this ugly fucking spider. And then it actually, no, it isn't. It's a half woman, half spider. The two scariest things a man can encounter: a spider and a naked woman. Absolute peak. But how is the actual fight? Obviously, this is not some Melania Blade of Mikla type stuff. You're not having some epic duel with her, trading blows and some such. Nah, she's clearly like, it gives off the with the music and the way she attacks, and just the fact that you're fighting her literally in her nest, what looks like eggs all around. It sort of gives off this strange vibe of like, oh shit, I'm the invader. I'm the bad guy here. I'm invading into foreign territory for my quest to fucking, I don't even know what to do. I'm literally just doing things just so I don't go crazy from nihilism. And on my journey, I just happened upon this odd entity's lair, and well, you know, one thing goes to another, and we're just fighting right now to the death repeatedly. And by my side is this naked butcher lady, which harassed me not too long ago. You know, we're cool now, but fuck, man, shit's crazy in Blighttown. And this is exactly what we play video games for. So yeah, no surprise here, it's peak. In terms of the fight, you can hit the actual body, amazing. That does so many things. Just spellcasting builds with bows and arrows, even some builds which like have attacks which hit from like a downward slash, overhead downward slash. They can hit the body, get extra damage, and stagger the boss. Cool little fun little extra gimmick. Just a little cherry on top of this boss fight. Cry about it. One of the best bosses ever made. And from that, we then go to Sense Fortress and fight one of the worst bosses ever made. Who the fuck made this? Deadass, what is this boss fight? It's a big fucking oversized knight. 90% of the attacks you will actually see is just it stomping around. And then you break its legs. It usually doesn't even fall over properly. Like, you have no idea that it can even do this. Oh shit, you can do this? I fought the Stray Demon or the Asylum Demon, and even he didn't have that bad stability to not be able to like stand on his own 2 feet after getting hit a couple times. Like, what? Oh shit, the fucking golem can fall over? What? Since, okay, whatever. Alright, well, it fell over, so now what? Nothing, you just hit it. It's just not attacking back. Okay, cool. Wow. What's the arena? It's a big circle. Wow. You can drop the boss off. Okay. If the best thing about a boss fight is that you can end it faster by just ignoring everything about it, I don't know what you want from me. Crossbreed Priscilla. Before I recorded the footage of me fighting these bosses, I was like, Priscilla, oh shit, fucking a literal whatever boss fight. But after actually fighting her, it's not gonna show on this video, but gosh darn, she kicked my booty hole. She kicked my fucking ass. I was like, Priscilla, this is gonna be a quick D tier boss fight for me. Nah, she got hands. She knows how to fight. Shawty knows how to fight. The gimmick is she goes invisible. You have to stagger her. And it's a very simple gimmick. But my god, there are so many things you can do to just trick this gimmick off. One of the worst parts of Priscilla is the fact that I don't know if this is also like a bad thing or a good thing, but this boss fight feels very properly paced. Like she has just enough health for her to survive you staggering her out of her invisibility and then still like do a couple attacks before you kill her full stop. But on the other hand, because this is Dark Souls 1 and you can break this game 15 times over, this very fine-tuned, perfect pace of the boss fight can go fucking shit itself instantly as soon as you get a plus 11 weapon before fighting her. Not to mention, the best place to farm souls is right outside of her boss room, so... Well, not right outside, but it's in the area where you fight her. So it is pretty easy to just break this boss fight. But as a concept, as a gimmick, the more... I had to fight her twice in a row. The first time she fucked me up. The second time I already... I wisened up. I knew what to do this time around. So... I don't know, it just sort of opened my eyes like, holy shit. You're more or less the exact kind of boss that I wanted every single boss in the Dungeons of Elden Ring to be. Like, all of them some sort of cool, goofy gimmick. Priscilla is good. You never fight her. No one ever fights Priscilla. Like, why? But she's good. Gwendolyn. This is another one of those. So far we've had two. The first one was the Gaping Dragon. The first one was Capra Demon, where you're like, oh, bruh, why aren't you just a little farther away for me to process what's going on? Like, very easy fix for this gimmick to work. Gaping Dragon, like, bruh, why are you here? You should be in Bloodborne. Get out of here. Gwendolyn is the same thing. Like, the gimmick of the boss, the way it fights, super chill. Everything real gangster. Why doesn't he spawn behind you sometimes? Super easy fix. Just every now and then he will just warp behind you. Easy. Like, is From Software stupid? This is such... The room is infinite. Gwendolyn will have enough room to just teleport behind and in front of you as much as it damn well pleases. Why not do this? Why are you stupid, From Software? Why didn't you do this? Why is it so repetitive that he keeps running away from you? Why not do it that he sometimes teleports behind you and another time it looks like he's teleporting in front of you, but it's actually an illusion. It's just a Gwendolyn. It's not doing anything. You're like, what the fuck? And then suddenly from behind you, you get hit by one of the orbs and you're like, what? Oh, what? Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. He tricked me. The fanboy is full of trickery. But in this case, nah, just poorly executed. Alright, this is it. This is the boss fight. This is the one everyone talks about. ONS, ONS. Oh, get ready for the slam. It's the boss fight. This is why Dark Souls 1 is legendary. It's because of this fucked up boss. This is where the real Dark Souls begins. For the second time. You walk into Anor Londo. There's a statue of, I think first it's Ornstein. Yeah, just some regular ass knight. Which is good. Because you're like, some statue of a knight. I've seen 15 of these throughout Sense Fortress. Who cares? It's just a different looking, whatever. You go to the other side just to check it out. And there's a statue of this weird looking guy with this big ass hammer, and his armor makes him look fat. And it's like his head, where it looks like his head should be isn't where his head even is. So you're like, what the fuck is... Okay, hold up. This is a bit strange and spooky. Something is up here. You wouldn't just put a statue of nobody in here, would you? And you walk through Anne Orlando, you know, your standard affair. Why the fuck do I have to go through these rafters? Who broke this window? So on and so forth. Then you actually meet them. This city of gods is quite barren now that you think about it. But then you actually meet them. The only two people with some actual character in this goddamn city other than the blacksmith. And you're like, oh shit. Oh shit, I'm gonna have to fight two of them, aren't I? And then Ornstein drops down from the roof. Oh shit, it's this thing again. So that's what the gargoyles were preparing me for. The fight itself, everyone is like, oh yes, have to get one slow one and one fast one in one room. Like, well, get the fuck out of here with this fast and slow shit. Smo can cover ground faster than 90% of the boss fights in this game, so get out of here that he's slow. Ornstein usually gets stuck on some pillar, but okay, that's a bug of the game, not an intended feature, but usually Ornstein is the one that's slow and not dangerous. He's just like a recovery checker, like, don't make too many attacks on my buddy boy Smo, or else I will poke you or hit you with some ranged attack. That's another thing, like, oh, he's fast. No, he just throws ranged shit at you. The real beauty of this boss fight are the pillars. The fact you can separate them and control the fight in a unique way. Once one of them is dead, we get to second phase, and here it's like very Ornstein can't even hit you if you're right below him. At that point, why did you get bigger, Ornstein? you literally debuffed yourself. What are you doing? Smo is just like, oh yeah, he does more damage than he already did. So, no. Judging by how much vigor and HP people usually have when playing these games, that means that Smo, in his second phase, can now one-shot you, as opposed to in his first phase where he could one-shot you. So like, okay, cool, good job, Smo. It's more like an endurance thing of like, all right, you've beaten the hard part, but can you keep your nerves throughout this other much easier part? But in terms of like, the real reason why this boss exists is this is the first ever build check. The Barrel Gargoyles, you had a lot of leeway when fighting them. You could summon Lautrec, you could summon Solaire. They were extremely early. You could have gotten some busted ass weapons and upgrade materials before fighting them. Ornstein Smo? Not the same thing over here. We're playing a different game, boy. This is the end of the journey. This is as far as you have gotten ever in your game. So your build better be on par. Yeah, you have all these different opportunities to level up, get some good gear and whatever. Now it's time to see if you were just fucking around doing nonsense or whether you were making an actual build. Because as soon as you make a good build, like, what's the whole point of the first phase? You kill one and it's over. You kill one and there's a cutscene that you get saved by the cutscene from whatever the other one was doing. You could kill them in a matter of milliseconds with a plus 10 weapon as long as you were just making a real build. You could have killed them easily. And of course, a real build, like, what is that? Like, if I have a massive great shield and I'm using a spear doing 3 damage per hour, well, is that not a real build suddenly? No, of course not. But you know, you're at that point, like, you're playing the game slightly differently than someone else who may be using a bleed dagger and is running around naked. But both of those are like real builds. They have ways of fighting bosses, like real ways of nullifying multiple things about a boss fight, especially this boss fight. But if you were just running around with some fucking sword and a medium shield, neither one of the shield isn't even upgraded because you didn't even know you could upgrade shields. The sword is +6, and you were hoping that there would be enough gold pine resins throughout the world to like carry you through everything. Yeah, of course they're gonna beat your fucking ass, and you're gonna have to switch to the lightning spear you got in Sense Fortress, or the Sentinel's halberd. Is that what it's called? Golden halberd or something? I don't know. Shit that you find in this place, which by the way, you don't find a lot of things. You might find the Silver Knight spear, you might find the Silver Knight straight sword, but you don't find a lot of things other than that. You might find the occult club. Oh yes, the occult club. See guys, there's a get out of jail free bail for you, that you can get the occult club and beat the tar out of these enemies. Sure, the occult club. Lord praise From Software for saving me from the horrors of Ornstein and Smo by giving me this overpowered weapon, also known as the Occult Club +0. Thanks a bunches, FromSoft. Now, this is a build check, and as a build check, it works quite well. SS+. Oh, big fucking surprise, I know. Great Grey Wolf Sif. This boss fight really is banking hard on the it looks unique part of the boss. It's a big dog with a sword. Let's be honest now, if the dog wasn't big, if he was the same size as he is when you're fighting Manus, this fight would have been a lot harder. If he just kept the same health but was that small. Well, I mean, dogs in Souls games, they don't fuck around, so now that you're big, I can just hide under your feet and you can't do anything to me. Most of the attacks that Sif does don't hit you. Sif leaves itself open to a lot of critical hits, or like critical hits, counter attacks, because you're under the boss, it can't hit you, but it's still doing some silly attacks, so it's open to counter hits, so it dies very quickly. I don't know, man. I get it. The whole point is supposed to be like, no, don't kill the cute puppy with a giant sword. It's just guarding its master's grave. Ooh. Story reasons as a boss fight, right? But if you're in a From Software game and you want to be a story boss fight, you're going up against Maiden Astraea, and that's a tough hill to climb. And in my opinion, just because you're a big little dog that starts limping halfway, near the end of the fight, I don't know. I'd say poorly executed. If the fight was actually dangerous, Sif was one of the hardest, above average in terms of difficulty when it comes to fighting. And then there was that moment of like, I'm fighting this hardest shit boss. It's just a stupid dog with a sword. God, this fight makes me so fucking angry. There would have been like a whole structure to the fight where you start off being like, oh, it's a cute puppy. Oh, it has a sword. That's so funny. And then it kills you a bunch of times. So you get angry. And then you finally learn the boss fight and you get it down to when it starts limping. And it goes all the way back to, oh, it's a dog, bro. I'm killing a fucking dog. What am I doing? That would have been much more creative, but nah, it's just a shit boss fight. It's just, yeah, I don't know. Four Kings. This one I have no idea how to feel about. On one hand, having a DPS race, this is literally another build check, like, but it's a build check in like the worst kind of way, like. Either you do enough damage or you get ganked by the Four Kings. it's not even like, oh, is your build resistant enough to, even while getting ganked by 4 kings, can it still like survive long enough to start cutting them down in a reasonable manner? No, fuck that. Fuck that. You're just dead. You got ganked, bro. All it takes for Dark Souls to like gank you properly is to have three people attacking you. Because by the time the third person attacks you, the first person has already recovered from their attack. So it's just an infinite loop. You can never like come in and poke in. You can never come in and peel off damage. So having 4 of them, bro. But usually that doesn't happen. Usually people just cheese it, grab some goofy armor, grab some overpowered curved sword, upgrade it up to the max. And it is New Londo after all. This is literally where you upgrade 90% of all weapons. Go ahead and farm the Dark Race, get the main weapons. They're weak to fire, which is good because Pyromancy doesn't have stat requirements. So as long as you have at least 1 attunement slot, you could slot in some goofy Pyromancy. And after spending 300,000 souls, you can finally do good damage with a Pyromancy against this boss fight. So, I'm really miffed because it does exactly what I want, you know? It's very like, no, this is the way the boss fight works. You have to find a way around it using the mechanics that we put in the game. And there are plenty of ways to go around it. What I don't like about it is the way it forces you to do it, the gimmick of the fight. That it's a damage race. And that usually the strategy is to face fuck them, basically. I'm starting to realize this fight is really kinky. Someone at From Software was fucked in the head when making this. 4 kings? 4 kings. Oh god. I get it. Oh my god, I get it. I clap. I get it, From Soft. I get the joke. To anyone who doesn't, I don't know, maybe I'm the problem. I would say average. For being a Lord boss, the gimmick is a lot better than some of the Lord bosses in... Oh, Lord bosses, quote-unquote. Archdemon bosses in Demon Souls. Where it was too much of a gimmick. Too much of a cinematic sort of gimmick. Where this is more like a problem gimmick. There is a problem and you have to engineer out a solution. Which in an action-adventure RPG is very good as a boss fight to have. So I'll go ahead and say average. See if the scale is... Yeah, dog shit. You set him up as this big motherfucker. The father of all sorceries. He created all this bullshit that you keep getting hit by in multiplayer. Except not really. Manus is the one that ruined multiplayer in Dark Souls 1 with magic. No, not ignoring backstabs and all that. So he's the one that does this. He kidnaps maidens. He killed you he killed you first and then threw you into a sex dungeon and now you gotta get out and there's these weird fucking mind flare Picassos or whatever. Picassos. Whatever those things are that you fight, the octopus whatevers. And the snake men are probably his creation too, and whatever, and there's Logan, and he's insane, he's fucking doing sorceries. Shit, man. Then you go through the forest, and you go into the crystal cave. It's like, bro, what the fuck, bro, this place, this crazy hamburger. You're going, and you're literally walking on nothing to get to the boss fight. It's like, what the fuck, this is crazy. Can't wait for this boss fight. You break his crystal and this really cool, unique, one-of-a-kind dragon design, all he does is just... doesn't even use his fucking octopus legs or whatever. He just spits fucking crystals at you. Wow, good job, From Soft. Literally couldn't have figured out anything else. That's sort of the curse with... with the early Souls games where they really had no idea how to make a dragon boss at that point. It took till the DLC, and well, we'll get to that. Pinwheel, oh yeah, the meme, just put him in SS Plus, he's the hardest boss in the game. And then the meme was so overplayed that everyone was like, nah, it's not funny anymore. Oh, everyone makes the Pinwheel joke. How is Pinwheel actually as a boss fight? It's just straight up bad. I could make like some meme or whatever, but no. The gimmick is very, very evident. This is supposed to be Fool's Idol. Again. Literally straight up. Okay. Okay, sure, whatever. It's Fool's Idol. Repeating bosses, this whatever. He dies in like 3 hits. His clones, there's no way of differentiating them from the real Pinwheel unless you just keep track of the real Pinwheel. He does no damage, even if you go to him at the point where you're quote-unquote supposed to go to him. Okay, whatever. He still does 0 damage, dies in 3 hits. Like, the gimmick of this was clearly supposed to be that... Shut up, PlayStation app. The gimmick of this was clearly supposed to be that he doesn't have a lot of health, so in order for the boss fight to survive long enough, he's just going to keep like hiding amidst his clones, and in order for him to do enough damage, because his individual attack doesn't do a lot of damage, all his clones are going to do damage to you and whatever. Okay, sure, whatever, fine as a concept. But in reality, it is this tiny fucking room. If you lose track of Pinwheel, I think you might have some sort of physical deformity located specifically around your ocular region. And even if you like let the clones be around, they could all 3 hit you at once and they would take off like at max half your HP. Like, cool, you could literally be just brainlessly chopping down every single clone Pinwheel has, and you still wouldn't die. You could play against Pinwheel as recklessly as you humanly could, and you would die. You wouldn't die, sorry. Man, this sucks. Because this concept is really cool. If only there was this boss fight that would basically work around the same concept. But... how about that every time it spawns the clones, it disappears, and the arena is a lot more dynamic. Like maybe it's some sort of church, maybe, with some pillars that you can hide around, and the boss fight can also hide around. And maybe all the clones, when they cast their magic, it looks different, so you can tell which one it is, but you have to wait for it. And it keeps putting down traps. It's a shame that boss fight doesn't exist. Oh no, it does, and it's named Fool's Idol, and it's in Demon Souls, the game that came before this. What the fuck are you doing, From Software? Nito. Yeah, I don't know. It's the fact that he can't hit you when you're right in front of him. You will see this in the footage. Like, for example, 4 Kings, even Nito. You can just strafe around the attack sometimes, which is good. An alternative way of avoiding the attack by just cleverly positioning yourself, as opposed to bashing some sort of button. It feels a lot more organic as opposed to like some rhythmic thing. So just having every now and then a boss fight which allows you to do that, it's nice. It's kind of hecking epic. So I get the idea of this, and of course the point is they intend for you to be swarmed by 6 different skeletons alongside Nito, so that's why his attacks are slow. That's why his attacks are fairly easy to avoid and have a lot of like a leeway for you to avoid it without needing to press anything, just positioning yourself properly so that you have enough time to actually press something when you're fighting against the skeletons and whatever, the much more dangerous part of the boss fight. But of course, you can ignore the skeletons, you can kill them with divine weapons, thus killing them. You can just straight up not trigger the skeletons in the back. I don't know, I feel like this boss fight would have been just better if Nito just could hit you if you're right under him, aside from some obvious attacks. And as the fight progressed, more and more skeletons would appear. They wouldn't just stand somewhere in the arena and then start charging you, they would just start appearing. Sort of, I don't know, some dynamicism to this boss fight, because right now Nito literally feels like some walking punching bag. You kill his skeletons and then you bash into Nito and then he's dead. Oh, good fight. Nah, poorly executed. Poo poo. Ceaseless discharge. Oh my fucking god. This is the stretch. This right here, what you're seeing right here, starting with Nito and Pinwheel, this is the stretch. This is the Dark Souls 1 worst half. This is it. Fuck's sakes, these boss fights, brother. Ugh. So Ceaseless Discharge, already a point down, because the most notable part everyone says about Ceaseless Discharge is that you can skip this boss fight. Alright, sure. Yeah, I believe with Iron Golem we've already talked enough about why that's not really a good thing. But what about if you don't? What if you fight him for real, skull emoji? Well, he slams his arm down for no reason in particular, waits a little too long for you to hit him 3 times. And he raises it, and then he does it again. That's the boss. Depending on where you are positioned in the arena against Ceaseless Discharge, he does different attacks. Doesn't matter. He's never gonna catch up to you as you're running away from him to do the skip. You're never really going to fight him anywhere other than on the wide platform where you're normally supposed to fight him. And you're not gonna hear a lot of interesting things here. You can skip ahead to the DLC bosses, I think. Demon Fire Sage. It's Stray Demon, literally. Centipede Demon. This fight could have been okay. You cut off its arms. You can cut off its different arms, and then it regrows them and whatever. That's fucking cool. What ruins this boss fight is the arena. Or more so the lack of options the arena gives you. This arena would have been 10 times better if you just had specific platforms. Like, there's a very clear first platform. You run right up to him, you go through the fog, you run right up to him, and you fight him on a medium-sized flat arena right there. And the boss fight just keeps doing goofy things, trying to push you off like it's sumo or whatever. Then there's another arena far off, or another platform that you can stand on that isn't lava, far off, that you can just chill in, but he will pester you with fireballs or whatever. And then there's another arena where you can get high up and do a plunging attack on the boss or whatever. But no, none of that is the case. It's just, this is fucking some random ass platform off in the distance where you actually fight the boss, and the boss fight, like, what's the boss? You run under it and it cannot hit you with most of its attacks. Amazing. But what attacks can it hit you with? And thus, what attacks are you going to see the most of? A stomp. I love it when my boss fight is literally just waiting for the boss to stomp on me. I love it. I love when that happens for the 15 billionth time I see an oversized boss. I love how uncreative people can get when it comes to big bosses. Amazing. Shadow of the Colossus exists, and yet we still get bosses like this. Terrible. Bed of Chaos. I mean, what's there to say? I should add an extra tier down below a straight sword that's just Bed of Chaos. We all know there are no redeeming qualities to this. Cheesing the boss fight by throwing firebombs is the most interesting way of fighting this boss fight. Actually playing the boss as you're supposed to is just bad. Terrible. Usually it's just better to run in, hit one side, jump off, kill yourself. If you're not going to, the Bed of Chaos will just throw you down anyway, because it's salad finger swipes just... So you kill yourself twice, and then you run into the middle, you roll through the roots, pray to God it doesn't do the firestorm attack, and then you kill it and it's over. Wow. And the progress is even saved that you do. Like, they didn't even want you to fight this boss fight, clearly. There is this concept art, which I've seen and I still remember to this day. It was in an Indie Mouse video. Long ago, before Indie Mouse even like started doing what he's doing right now. When he was doing the lists, top 10 whatever of Dark Souls and whatnot. Indie Mouse, like there was this concept art he found of Bed of Chaos, and it's stuck into my head as the coolest fucking thing I think I have ever seen. And it's just the Bed of Chaos, but instead of this tiny little room, it's just a massive wide open space with tiny little platforms which lead like steps up towards the Bed of Chaos that you have to jump on top of and whatever. And I'm like, holy shit, that's so fucking cool and epic. Imagine if that's what the boss fight was like. Like, you're just jumping, doing this platforming while the Bed of Chaos is throwing shit at you and casting different pyromancies that you've learned while you're doing that, instead of this fucking kill yourself twice and then you beat the boss. Good job. Would have been way more interesting. It seems like such an easy fix too. Like, you don't really have to change much about the boss fight. And the music also, not that the music is bad, quite the opposite, it's quite good, but every time you hit one of the fucking staffs or whatever, the orange things on the Bed of Chaos, it restarts the music, so you don't even get to the good part. Yeah, fucking, I don't know, man. I guess all that can be said about the Bed of Chaos is that the Bed of Chaos is an example of something that From Software keeps doing to this day, which is giving themselves way too big of a scope, an unrealistic scope. Like 5 times in a row, they did not have enough time to finish the game that they wanted to make. Bloodborne was rushed. Dark Souls 2, Jesus Christ. Dark Souls 3, half the fucking cool and interesting mechanics of that game do not exist in that game because they had to cut it. I don't even know how early in development they cut it. Fucking Elden Ring, way too big, and the last areas of the game are enemies you've already fought before. Wowzers. And also just like, oh yeah, you beat the fire giant, here, fucking light melon on fire. Oh cool, look at this, you're in the fire Missoula. What? How? What the huh? What? I haven't even played Deracine, but I bet that Deracine was also rushed. Somehow. Somehow they rushed that game too. I haven't heard any rushed complaints about Armored Core 6, so maybe anything that isn't in any way, shape, or form tied to the Souls series is free of this curse. But yeah, fucking Demon Souls, 6th Archstone, same thing. It's probably the most evident in Dark Souls 1, with not even just like the entirety of the Demon Ruins or Lost Izalith, but just those small little patches. In Demon Ruins, it's the horde of Tauruses that just sits below the fucking ceaseless discharge. In Lost Izalith, it's all the dragon bots. Other than that, the areas are just fine. But man, the boss fights and those There's those small little patches of unfinished business. They make all the noise they need to make. Yeah. All right, DLC. Here we go. It's DLC time. This is where all the actual good bosses of the games are, of all of the games. So first off, Sanctuary Guardian. How do I put this? The DLC. There's this guy, yeah. You've definitely heard of him, Plague of Gripes. If you've watched any of his hour-long fucking playthroughs of this game, whenever he gets to the DLC, he talks about how this DLC more or less is the first finger of the monkey paw that curls when it comes to From Software enemy, area, and boss design. Like, you can see a lot of Dark Souls 3 and Elden Ring sort of in these bosses and whatnot. Sanctuary Guardian, it's a beast, it's an animal, oh, it's fucking frantic, keeps swinging like a moron, and whatever, you know. There's not really a lot of that. Like, if Quelaag was in Dark Souls 3, it would have been the most boring, sauceless boss ever. It would have been basically like Sanctuary Guardian, but instead of swiping with its paws, it would swipe at you with its sword. Whereas Quelaag, you know, controls the arena by spitting out fire everywhere. I didn't even mention that. I always bring that up when I'm talking about other bosses. And when I was talking about Quelaag, I didn't even bring it up with her. That's like the core, unique part of her. She just changes her big-ass arena by spitting out lava. Whatever, I don't need to glaze Quelaag anymore. We know she's a good boss. Get out of here. Get the fuck out of here. What do you want from me, huh? Fucking fiber optic cable. High-speed internet access. A lot of money in this shit. So, I guess average. There is a lot of good that is gained from an aggressive boss fight. It really sort of just like, just aggression in and of itself in a boss fight sort of paces it in a much more thoughtful manner. It's like a crutch. Do you want your players to engage with a boss fight in an intelligent way? Alright, make it so that the boss fight is very hyperactive. That way they have to manage how many attacks they do against the boss fight. When do they attack? When do they know? It like forces a player to pay attention to like recovery windows of a boss fight during their attacks. It's like a cheap crutch, sort of. You don't have to make some crazy ass nonsense like with the Four Kings where it's just a boss, it's slow as fuck, but it keeps summoning, it's a damage race now. Like, the Four Kings are a creative boss fight. Sanctuary Guardian is like a crutch in terms of difficulty. Yeah, he's just a fucking aggressive, crazy person. So obviously you have to pay attention to recovery windows and whatnot. And as soon as you do, the boss fight just falls apart. Oh no! Well, now it's fucking piss easy and whatnot. I don't know. It is literally basically the problem that I and a lot of people have with the bosses of the other games, where just it's like a by the numbers. And when they say that, what do they mean? They mean this. Like, it's got the fast attacks and it's got the slow attacks, and you're trying to wait for the slow attacks. You gotta pay attention. It's got a lot of health, so you can't get greedy and whatever. It's like a crutch. It's cheap. It's cheap difficulty. All right. That's him. That's literally him. My brother. When you look in the mirror, you wish you could see this. That's literally him, right? That's the guy that ruined all the boss fights in all of the Souls games. They made one guy, well, not really. They made False King Allant, and no one paid attention to that one because Demon Souls. That game apparently doesn't exist. But then the DLC came out, and From Software now had the confidence, the balls, the gall to just put you in a wide open, empty fucking arena with just another swordsman and fucking go at it. Wow. Shish. How creative From Software. Well, it sort of is. Back then, it sort of was. For Dark Souls 1 and the Souls games in general, they're very simple games. You got your dodge button, you got your attack button, you got your strong attack button, and you do footsies. The hitboxes are very tight, so you can do footsies and whatever. It's very simple but effective. So making a complicated swordsman type boss fight around this is quite difficult, because all you have at your disposal at like first glance is just variably timed attacks. That's the only thing you can catch people with. Like, oh, you got greedy, and that's how you die. That's why this game is fair. And shut the fuck up. Fuck out of here. I didn't get greedy, I got stupid. That doesn't mean that the boss fight is good. Making an actual boss fight, which is just some dickhead with a sword, it's quite difficult. And does Artorias the Abyss Walker pull it off? Well, of course he does. The fuck you think of me, huh? What do you take me for? You think I'm about to give Artorias the, like, D tier or whatever? Come on. Don't think of me like that. The problem with Artorias, or not really him, but it's the fact that they pulled it off once, and instantly they were like, yep, let's fucking go. Let's go do it again. Let's go do it another couple times. And then Dark Souls 2 came around. And halfway through development, they were like, nah, lol. Let's do it again. Fuck it. Fuck, I messed up. We gotta go bald. Then they had to redo the game again. Fucking taping everything together from the little scraps that they had. And so like, fuck, what do we do now? We need bosses. I don't know, fucking look at the good boss fights from Dark Souls 1. Look, Artorias, fucking give everyone a sword and make them fight like Artorias, you know, whatever. Sure, whatever. And then it kind of worked. And then Bloodborne came around. It had no good bosses, except for a couple, which were basically Knight Artorias. And the second finger of the monkey paw curled again, and it was over. At that point, it was over. It was #Jover. We ain't Barack. We ain't coming Barack from this. And then we got Dark Souls 3. Less said about that game, the better. The boss fight with Artorias itself, at least it has the uniqueness of he buffs. He has a second phase. The DLC came out, oh, what if we did fucking second phases? Pseudo second phases. At 75% health, he starts buffing. And he keeps buffing and buffing until he one-shots you. Which, as we've already established with Ornstein and Smo, for the vast majority of players that play these games, that means that Artorias can one-shot you before he even buffs. Because, you know, vigor doesn't exist. Why would I want to survive when I can just hit the boss before it hits me, even though I don't know what it will hit me with? This just doesn't make sense. Why would I have more health? Like, I don't plan on getting hit, even though I don't know what I'm going to be hit by, when I'm going to get hit. I don't plan on getting hit anyway. Skill issue, skill diff, W in the chat for the fucking strength players, which fall apart at getting hit by 2 Claymore R1s. Yeah, average. He is set up very well. But the fight itself, realistically, oh shit, when was this? This is like a trip down memory lane. Some long ass time ago, when Dark Souls 1's DLC actually came out, when it was sort of hip and cool to just have like a webcam with like 3 people playing, with one guy that has no idea what he's doing playing the game, and 2 other people that know what they already finished the game commentating on it. When that was sort of quote unquote hip and cool among the family friendly YouTube channels, you probably have no idea what I'm talking about. God damn, I'm old. I'm fucking, what am I, 23? I'm 23 and I still remember this shit. Fuck. Man, the kids in Europe are built different. I just realized that. I'm fucking built different. In a bad way. They broke me when they released me out of the factory. But even back then, I saw a video which was exactly as I described. They were fighting Artorias. The dude that already played the game described it as, oh yeah, you see, it's one of those armored knights with a sword. And the dude that was playing was like, oh, actually, I've had enough of those. I had enough of those, actually. That's basically like a perfect summation of our Knight Artorias as a boss fight. The technicality of it, that you actually managed to make a boss fight that's just a big wide open area, no tricks or gimmicks, it's just him with his pure skill against you, the player, with a lot more skill, and he still can kill you. That's amazing technical achievement, honestly. Fucking peak. Everything else? Bro, one of his arms is broken. There could have been something in that other arm which he could have used. There could have been something. He could have actually like had a shield or whatever. He could have flipped you over himself like Black Prior or some shit, but nah. Yeah, I'll just leave him in average. But now, with one technical achievement out of the way, it's time for From Software to cleanse themselves of the filth that was attributed to them from Demon Souls and then carried over into Dark Souls, because Dark Souls 1 didn't fix it without the DLC. And that filth was, y'all motherfuckers remember this, bro, because it's that fucking, that icky little yummy that icky little stain, that shit stain on From Software's name remained all the way until Dark Souls 3's DLC, the second one, with what's his fucking name, Amimir. That stain was, From Software cannot for the life of them make a good dragon boss fight. Yep, that's right. In their dark fantasy RPGs, which were supposed to compete against Morrowind, Oblivion, and the like, when fucking Skyrim came out, they still could not make a good fucking dragon boss fight for the love of their on their dead granny. They could not do it. They could not pull it off. So Dark Souls 1 DLC comes out, and we have Calamite, and you could tell they were fucking feeling themselves, bro. They were like, oh shit, y'all ain't ready for this dragon boss fight. This is the best fucking dragon boss fight you're ever going to kill. You're ever going to fight. This dragon boss fight, bro. The dragons from fucking Skyrim, they check under the bed for this dragon boss fight, bro. That's how they were setting it up. He pulls up on the bridge. It's a Cyclops dragon. His one eye is like, bleh. It's not really a Cyclops. He has real eyes, but he has one eye that's like red, and he stares at you just for no reason. There is no insinuation. You come in and you're like, oh shit, Knight Artorias, the Abyss, Dark, whatever. Okay, so we're continuing the storyline from the main game. That's the whole point. And then out of nowhere, Calamite just appears. And you're like, oh fuck, I'm gonna have to kill that at some point, aren't I? Then you just chill. You maybe before killing Artorias, you go down into Calamite's nest or whatever. He burns you, and you're like, okay, cool. That's, I guess, whatever. You go past Artorias, get the crest key. You have a whole NPC designed just for this boss fight. And then comes the cutscene. Fucking peak cinema, perfectly timed. The music from the boss fight is also really nicely edited into it. And then you have to fight him. So how's the actual fight? So with all of this setup, all this fucking trillions of side quests and shit that you had to do this. What now? Well, how's the actual fight? Good. It's quite good. Calm down, calm down, calm down. It's pretty good. Now listen, there are some nitpicks I have with Calamite. For one, every single one of his fire attacks puts you on the ground. That's very annoying. Would have been a lot cooler if they had 0 poise damage, but the damage that the fire actually did stacked up a lot faster. You know, like actually fire. He's straight up chainsawing your health by burning you, as opposed to no, you just got hit from afar and so now you're on your ass. Lol. Now you're getting burned, but because you have invincibility flames as you're getting up, no one cares. Second, his hitboxes are kind of goofy. Let's be honest here. It's because he attacks by moving forward, chomping with his head, his elongated head, and then to cover the distance between his head and where the neck connects to the rest of his body, he also swipes in between that distance. So he's actually attacking twice at the same time. That's why he's that's why his hitboxes fucking suck. But also Dark Souls 1 is still Dark Souls 1, so even though you are invincible, the boss is clearly still touching you. And because they're not attacking you with a weapon, but with their actual body, their body parts move you around, so you stay inside of the active hitbox for longer, and if your iframes are not good enough, you might dodge properly, but stay inside of the active iframes long enough that you get hit anyway. You get hit for more damage, by the way, so epic. Bloodborne also has this problem, but let's not talk about Bloodborne. Bloodborne is our baby, it's amazing. But other than that, it's really good. Music is epic. It's sort of like a little glimpse into what happened back before anything was built on this earth, in this world. What sort of things Gwyn and his buddies had to go through to just finally form their kingdom, to start everything, for even you to have an opportunity to like play or experience what you've experienced in the game. For all of it to happen, first, Gwyn and his buddies had to go through like 15,000 different Calamites, more or less. I like that, like little glimpse, like show us basically exactly what happened without actually showing us what happened. Instead, just giving us something very similar, familiar to it. And like a slight little snippet of the absolute chaos that the war against the dragons actually was. There's a lot of discussions like, oh, the opening of Dark Souls 1, like what they're saying, is that what actually happened? I don't know, but we do know that when fighting the dragons, it looked exactly like how we fought against Calamite. They would ground it first with the arrows, that's what Goth was for. and then the dickheads on the ground would fight it. Probably Ornstein would just poke it a couple times, and that would be that. You can like literally see the fucking classic 4-person RPG party facing off against the dragon. Like with Ornstein as the hardcore DPS, Artorias with his great shield as the tank, Goff as the backline damage dealer, and Kieran as the rogue. The fucking bonus action hide and then backstab rogue. You can literally picture that, and like that's how the units of knights were formed. That's how they were fighting the dragons. You can literally see it with just this boss fight. Amazing. And it all is glued together tightly by the boss fight actually being good. It's dangerous enough for you to for it to matter what your build is. For it to matter that you actually like playing a video game, you know? Manus. You can literally see the rest of the Soul series hard bosses in this boss fight. He's not very aggressive. It's just his recoveries are... They're not that quick, but they're fairly quick. And his attacks, like, they're very goofy. His jumping attack, the one where he hits you with both his staff and his goofy arm. His knee also has a hitbox, sort of like Flame Lurker and the like, to sort of make sure that you can't just run under him, because that's a wee bit silly. The attack is clearly meant to be like a chase down attack, but you're just running under him, because that's not what's supposed to be happening. Whatever. I don't really feel... Neither me nor many other people really feel much about Manus. And one of the reasons why is because you can't fucking see anything during this fucking boss fight, brother. You can barely even see what he's doing because he's the same color as everything else in the boss arena. A lot of the times it does just happen that you just face fuck it, similar to Four Kings or Nido. You just face fuck Manus. I should not be using that. Should not be saying that. That's not a good sentence. That's not a good sentence. But you just tank through the hits, and that's how you more or less beat Manus. You don't really learn his moveset unless you're really, really, really low level, at which point, yeah, of course you have to learn him. But I don't feel like it's very eventful. Manus really doesn't feel like he has a strategy or rhyme or reason. He really feels no better than the Hollows in the first area of the game, just mindlessly swinging around like a monkey, like a chimpanzee with its head cut off, just Eventually he starts using the spells. Using the Silver Talisman is an active detriment because it grounds you while Manus is already recovered from casting a spell, so he starts swinging at you, whereas repositioning yourself gives you a much better opportunity to then dodge whatever else Manus will do. You can summon a Sif. Cool. I will give this to Manus. He is very well set up. Right from the beginning of the game, beginning of the DLC, he's set up, and right before that, Artorias, this big fucking gangster. My offense, original gangster. I did not know you were Knight Artorias of the Abyss Walker. You see him, and he lost. He lost to Manus. He was the guy. He was literally the guy. The master swordsman, the fucking legendary guy. His grave, he had a big dog. There's a whole covenant around fucking protecting from grave robbing or whatever. And he got beaten by Manus. Oh shit, this guy means business. This Manus fucker, he means business. I'm gonna get my ass whooped. And you come in, you go through the Ulasil township, You go through the Ulasil township, and ignoring the shitloads of invaders which keep harassing you, the town progressively gets more fucked up and weird and less town-like. It's like it's falling into itself, being swallowed. It's like the dreg heap before the dreg heap. And then you go down and it's a dungeon. And in the cell where Manus was, you have a bonfire, and outside of it is a big fucking destroyed wall, and you're right in the cave. The sounds of that woman of dusk screaming are even closer now. There's weird sounds everywhere, but it's also sort of tranquil and relaxing. Go in. These humanities, they're just chilling, not doing much. It's like a weird little limbo place. It's not hell. It's like limbo, like it's sort of relaxing. It's like when you take your cat to the vet. I know this sounds strange, bear with me. When you take your cat to the vet, they sometimes tell you like, okay, put a blanket over them so they calm down a little. That's exactly how I feel when going into the abyss, quote unquote. The abyss where Manus is. It's like chill. We just chilling here, bro. We the humans, we chilling in this cave and whatever. You don't care. Fuck it. And it's a contrast to Manus, who's like insanely angry. Way too angry. Crazy person angry. There's so many like strange emotions that don't really describe what the fuck just happened in this DLC. It's like lightning in a bottle sort of moment where it's just like, what the fuck? What the fuck just happened? But also I kind of get it. So yeah, the story is definitely epic. And then afterwards, Dusk is like, oh, but I also felt like some sadness and anger and like love or whatever from the creature. Oh, what the fuck? What was that all about? I don't know. It's like a really good contrast, especially him standing right next to Gwyn, Lord of Cinder, where Gwyn is like perfectly organized. I know what I want. I have an order of knights. I have this brick by brick built city, perfect city. Everything works exactly as it should be. Full on complete order. Whereas the Abyss is a lot like, what the fuck? What the fuck is going on? I don't know, but I kind of get it. It's so cool. Like chaotic and whatever. Yeah, average. What do you want from me? The fight is mid. The fight is mid, okay? Gwyn, Lord of Cinder. This fight is the freshest in my mind. Well, obviously, the whole gimmick of this was, we need to make a final boss that's difficult, but also it can be defeated by any build that you make. Just like, you insane, Miyazaki? This is not like your standard RPG where you're like, alright, I'm a tank. I'm only going to level up my tank shit. Nah, bruh, you can be a temporary tank. Literally just put on Iron Flesh and for a couple seconds you're a tank. Probably the best tank that there ever was. Like, it's not so clear and cut. You just have a character that started with specific stats and you can alter them as you go. That's it. So being like, every single build can defeat this thing, how do you even begin with that? Like, you don't know what every build can do. And that's how we end up with the parryable boss. The best way to beat the boss is with like using barely anything. Just straight up your bare fist parrying him, and then a riposte with a basic dagger. Yeah. Anyone who fights Gwyn for real knows that if you fight him for real, this is... Alright, yeah. So, you know the whole Elden Ring bosses discourse that isn't really anymore, but used to be. It's like, oh, they're too aggressive, there's literally no opening, there's no... And it's not entirely true. especially when they use Margit as the opening example, because, bro, you just go behind him and he instantly stops any follow-ups for his attacks. And now he's forced into a very bad situation where he either does a tail swipe, which you can jump over and do a very, very hefty jumping attack on him, which will probably put him on his ass, or he will have to disengage and walk back, at which point you are at an advantage because now he's recovering from doing a backstep and you can do whatever the fuck you want. So no, Margit is not a good example of that exact thing. Neither is Melania, neither is Verlana, neither is Hoo-Ha. But Gwyn, Lord of Cinder, is exactly that. If you do not parry him, he has attacks that are like faster than some fucking jabs in fighting games. He has a catch-up attack, this goofy little thrust which you cannot strafe around. He would just, the tracking on it is insane. He has buggy ass jumping attacks which he just fucking skips past points of his animation to get to hit you. He has fucking, the only thing he is missing is some sort of projectile attack. He only has like melee range where he actually has to like cross a long distance to get to you. All he's missing is a projectile attack which he can throw at you, and he's probably an S tier pick in any fighting game. It is agonizing fighting this boss fight. It is a literal like fucking, you know that song when Sonic is drowning in one of the old games? Or it is Sonic, yeah. That song, as it gets closer to Sonic drowning in water, that's exactly how it feels fighting Gwyn without parries. Just absolute chaotic fucking kill him before he does anything. Just fucking keep hitting him, stagger him with everything. Dog shit fight. Poorly executed. Absolute arse swipe fucking fight. Alright, that's it. That's the tier list. Now before you go, I need to tell you something important, and that is, thanks for watching. Like a lot. I was afraid that when I started no one was going to watch my videos like for at least a couple years. But no, people do watch them. Thank you. There's like at least a solid 20 or so people that keep coming back to these tier lists, or maybe it's new people, I don't even know. But even if, like, thank you for watching so much. I also want to take this opportunity to promote something, specifically something I will make eventually. So I guess I'm just like starting the hype for it right now. I'm gonna be making a comic, hopefully soon, a web comic. Post it. I don't know where. I don't even know where you're supposed to post these sorts of things. I don't even know much about making comics, and I don't even know much about art, as was made evident by my terrible thumbnails. But it's actually a bad thing that I'm saying this out loud publicly, because that means now I actually have to do it. So here's hoping. Here's hoping I can actually get this done. But until then, I'm gonna keep making videos. Next is Demon Souls. I'm already collecting footage for it, so hopefully it will come out a lot sooner than all my other videos. Then we're gonna go to Bloodborne, obviously. I have a lot of interesting opinions about that game and its bosses. Then we're gonna go to Sekiro, and I do not have a lot of interesting opinions to say about that game or its bosses. But anyway, again, thanks a lot for watching. Do all the likes and comments and whatever. I'm not actually forcing you to. It's just, apparently it's better for the channel if you say it. So I'm saying it now. And yeah, that's it. That's all. Thank you for watching. Again, thanks so much.